and welcome back to another episode of the Basement Broadcast. I'm your host, Gabe, and joined with me as always,
I'm James, the co-host. Over here we got
Dylan's over here,
the producer. And James, we have a guest on today. Who might our guest be?
All right, this is my dad. His name's John.
Father John.
Please introduce yourself the rest of your way.
What's the rest?
Of the, I don't know. Just,
all those things are true.
You,
I'm James's dad. My name is John. I'm a pastor at Miles City Church, which I'm sure this basement broadcast reaches beyond Michigan, but
it does.
That's in Michigan. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
All right. And
you're in a nutshell?
Wow.
Do you want to tell us a little bit maybe about your past, about
No, I don't really feel like going into that.
What's the origin story of Father John?
Yeah, what's your origin story?
I don't how far back do we want to go?
Just give us some highlights of your life, as far back as you want to go.
Yeah, I was born in Jacksonville, Florida. And my dad worked for Lockheed Martin and the Navy. So we've been all over the U.S., Texas, Hawaii, California, Kansas, New York, Michigan. So I've seen a lot of the country and been around a lot of places. But James came into the picture in New York, which is where our family started. So that's probably the most in a nutshell version of my past.
Yeah.
Right, perfect.
That was a nice size nutshell.
Yeah.
That was a good nutshell.
Yeah.
Like a walnut. Not too big, but
hearty.
Yeah, hearty.
Substantial
Filling.
snack.
Yeah.
Nice. So I know James texted you kind of last minute to come up with a topic idea.
Yeah.
So would you like to introduce our topic for today?
Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to do the topic.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding.
James.
Come on,
James.
Hey, no, it's
James, you had one job.
It specifically said, all right, I clarified twice.
Nothing like what, Gabe, I really appreciated your face just then to literally watch someone's world crumble. It was just like, we've wasted all this time. Yeah. So I know that I listened to the podcast you guys did before, and it was all about too many podcasts, just kind of lighthearted and silly, which I can definitely be lighthearted and silly on occasion. But I also, the topic that popped into my mind that I've kind of maybe just because of virtue of my profession I've been dealing with all week is just like kind of like conflict resolution. Like what can we do a better job of as far as like these interpersonal relationships and finding ways for people to resolve their conflicts in a way that's not so heavy-handed, like it seems like society's gotten today. It's like you're either with me 100% or I'm completely cutting you off. And it's like, is there something in between those things? You guys are laughing. Maybe you've dealt with something like this.
There's one thing I'm thinking of.
Between us?
This goes between me and you.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Clearly you worked it out.
I was thinking
here.
between you two.
Oh, yeah. Us and him and I.
We should have some good stories here.
Conflict resolutions.
After you guys moved in together, this should be really good.
Oh, goodness.
We always imagined in our young adults group that there'd be like couples counseling for those two after they moved in together, because we'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, we do argue. James likes to push my buttons. He knows how to push my buttons.
So James is a master of, there was a t-shirt that I saw online one time and it said, I know I lost the argument 10 minutes ago. Now I'm just trying to make you mad.
Oh, 100%. That's
really,
what happens.
I feel like that
James.
happens
all
very
because
James.
I'm not going to lie. I think I win most our arguments, yet he keeps going on.
Yeah. I feel like that's just pride.
Dude, no, it is not pride whatsoever. You keep talking me in circles half the time.
All right, I would clarify. I don't talk in circles. I simply make my point and
then repeat your point 10 more times
but
in
the problem
10 different
is,
ways.
the point I make is correct, but you're saying it's wrong for no reason.
Yeah.
Anyway, conflict. This is
either you're with me or you're against me, James.
Yeah, but I think you guys have hit on the main thing that's missing in most of these conflicts, which is we instead of dialoguing or having a conversation about the things that are frustrating us or complicating our relationships, instead we just don't talk to each other and make assumptions about what everyone else is thinking or doing.
You know what happens when you assume?
Yeah. You end up in a basement? No.
Whoa.
Maybe you should talk about why this show, the name was changed, but.
And you thought I was going to be the problem. All right. So.
Well, we should know the guy that made the short movie Fried Rice.
Yeah. Oh, have you guys seen this?
I showed Fried Rice to everyone. I found it on YouTube. And I just immediately showed everyone.
I think we just airplayed on the TV.
So I was probably James's age when I made that.
Really?
That movie, yeah.
That was a great movie.
Yeah.
You had 2 roles in that.
Exactly. and an incredible Boston accent.
The funniest part about it was that the first time we watched it, Gabe did not realize that you were playing the construction worker.
I did not.
And I go, yeah. I was like, yeah, it was pretty funny.
The way I edited that movie, I was the first person in it, and then I was the next character. And so inevitably, anybody who starts watching it just looks at me and goes, are you going to be playing every person? It's like, no, there's more people. I just did it. I should have done it that way, but yeah.
It was that was actually really funny.
So if you haven't gotten a chance, you can go to YouTube and look up
Dylan,
fried
we got to
rice.
post a link
Yeah.
to
Actually,
fried
I actually
rice.
put John Bauer's fried rice, which I found out. Otherwise, there's been a bunch of videos about like
Making
literal
fried rice.
Yeah. Also made in 2001, I think. So
2002.
That's when I was
have no
born.
That's when
idea.
like all of us were made.
the video quality is not great. When you play it, what happens is like just like black and
Technically-
then like a little corner of the screen
Yeah.
is the video. Like
it was shot on mini DV, so that technology is way outdated. And I had no concept of how to get sound in a movie other than the live recording that was on the thing. So a little rough in the audio department as well, but
It still
Yeah.
was very
Great.
funny.
It's incredible.
and my script was 1 page long, so
That's how you know it's
see
gonna be good.
a lot of that was ad-libbed and done in the moment.
I think
so,
it should have been aired at Sundance,
yeah,
and you should have got like a Fox Searchlight partnership.
yeah. A lot of people say that, and actually no one's ever said that, but
Well,
I appreciate that.
you got to think like all your like Napoleon Dynamites, they started off as something
Yeah.
like just some small idea where it wasn't like really anything. It was like, let me just make a stupid video.
Right.
And then it became something.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Fried Rice was doing a bit.
Yeah. I think Fried Rice was born, like all of those movies, out of a joke that you tell your friends and then it starts getting elaborated on, and that's how it becomes something bigger. So Fried Rice
that's how
was
this
just
podcast
about
started actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
pretty
is.
much. Yeah.
We literally came up with this idea and at a young adults group in the basement. We were like, we were arguing about something. We were going on about something, and then
I
somebody's
have
like,
no idea what
"You
it
should
was
rec-
anymore.
You should record this," and we're like, "Yes, we should," and then produce it. And
Yes.
so that, and then Dylan's like, "I have stuff," and we're like, "Okay, let's do this thing."
So wait, if you actually listen to my ideas on conflict resolution, it would end your podcast, I feel. So maybe we shouldn't talk about that subject.
Well,
Well,
the podcast already started, so it's too late for that.
yeah, we already got the topic
Yeah.
at hand.
It's the only podcast to ever end with, we figured it out. Goodbye, everyone.
Sorry,
Right,
guys.
we're done now.
It was a good
The,
run.
the fifth and final episode.
So what exactly are we just want to go through each like talk about it? It's like what do we
We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. This is just something that was on my mind throughout this week, is that lots of times, you know, when you're in a church and you're dealing with people, sometimes you'll get letters from people like, we're leaving the church and it's because, you know, these things. And the problem is that I've never actually talked to these folks about any of these things.
Right.
They never brought it up. This is the first time hearing of it in this letter where you tell me
Pick
that the
a
problem
side,
is,
John.
the problem is so bad that you're leaving. So it's just encouraging people to just have a dialogue about the things that are bothering you.
Talk about
But it's,
your problems.
exactly. And I think most times people are receptive to trying to resolve conflict, but it seems like we just don't put any effort into doing it.
Right.
We just decide, why would that person do that? They must do that because they hate me and they know that I don't like this and they're purposely trying to ruin my life. So my natural reaction is, I'm just never going to talk to you again.
Fair enough.
Instead of, hey, you know, Gabe, this thing you do, it really bothers me. I don't know if anybody's mentioned it to you before. And Gabe would say, oh, I had no idea. And then we can
I
actually—
will wear deodorant next
yeah.
time I see you.
we could actually come to some kind of resolution. But just encouraging people to have a conversation about the things that bother you versus avoiding confrontation and then letting these broken relationships dictate your life instead of trying to, you know, fix some of these things.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
So do you have any like maybe an example that you've had like where it worked out that way, you communicated and everything kind of worked out and you were like,
Oh, well,
okay, so-
I mean, I've been married for 26 years,
Yeah.
so that, I mean, there's
some
something to be said.
conflict and
Sometimes
resolution that
a
has to
handful.
happen there.
Yeah. And having a conversation, and I've seen lots of marriages fall apart, unfortunately. And it seems like inevitably what happens there is people just, they stop communicating.
Right.
They start to just live solely by what the conversation is in their head versus having an actual dialogue with a person. And that always leads people to these places where they feel like there's no resolution for their conflict. But the truth is they've never actually tried. They just did all these things in their head, had all these conversations in their head versus,
Some could say imaginary conversations.
yeah. Yeah, which at Miles City, we do have an idea there that an imaginary conversation deserves a real conversation. So if I'm having this conversation in my head, I should probably have it with a person.
Yes.
But maybe you guys have, when you're talking about examples, you asked me about an example, but, maybe you guys have an example of relationships where that's worked, or relationships where, you didn't do that and it led to poor
I know
consequences.
relationships where I didn't have any dialogue with anybody, where there were certain things that happened and I probably should have talked to him about it, but I never did. And nothing really came about. Like, what was it? It was like high school, getting included in things sometimes with hanging out with friends and stuff.
Yeah.
I probably should have expressed it, but I didn't. So I was just like wallowing in my own sorrow. Like, you're not including me in things.
Yeah.
I'm mad at you, but never going to talk to him about it.
Yeah.
Right.
For me, it's always been less so inclusion in things. Like I was always fine to just kind of like walk away, do my own thing. Like everyone would be like,
You are a
this
lone
is
wolf.
cool. Yeah. Like people would be like, this is cool. And I'd be like, well, I don't really care for that. And I just walk away and have fun, like drawing on the sidewalk or some random thing like that, unrelated to
I'm
whatever.
imagining James like,
In high school, James?
no.
All
This
the
was
time.
this was
I'll do it
this
right
was
now.
last week, dude.
Okay. Okay.
Last week.
Okay.
In the trunk of his car, he carries sidewalk chalk. It's
Yes.
just
I
Crayola
actually carry
sidewalk chalk.
weightlifting chalk, but same difference.
He,
I might
uh,
actually have sidewalk chalk in my car.
He draws outlines of people just
Yeah.
randomly.
But no.
Is that why you
It's
disappeared
not
from
so
the adults
random,
last
Gabe.
week for like 20 minutes?
Oh no, James, you're a murderer.
Whoa,
Wait, what?
How do we get
Wait,
that?
what?
That's ridiculous.
Wait a minute.
You draw outlines of people with it. Oh, whoa.
Whoa.
Hey,
But
for audio listeners, he just threatened me.
Like for me, I run into that a lot at work. People will be like, well, why aren't we doing this? Or sorry, rather I'll get, well, you're doing this thing. You've always done this and it's very frustrating and annoying. Or this person does this and it's very frustrating and annoying. And I'm just like, well, have you talked to them? Or I'll be like, oh, you never mentioned this to me. Like they'll come out of it and
Yeah.
be like, this happened like 87 bajillion times. I'm just like, wow, this is the first I'm hearing of this. Like I had no idea. You should have told me to start with.
Right.
So I always try to be the one to come at them with that first and be like, hey, like I noticed this, or hey, like this was kind of like really causing problems or it's really frustrating. I try to come out ahead of it instead of letting it build up, because just it's always a problem when you let something build rather than just getting it out there right away. But not everyone particularly likes that. I've noticed that I am not always the best at saying it. Sometimes it comes off a little stronger than I mean to, because I'm more just like, let's just get this over with. Let's have a conversation, be done with it. Like I don't want to be in this argument anymore. I don't want to be having these, problems anymore. So let's just have the conversation, be done with it. And not everyone handles that the same way. So I have been labeled occasionally as like, oh, he's really aggressive. And it's like, I just want this conversation. I just want to have this argument over with, or I just want to fix this problem right now so that we don't have to worry about it anymore. And it just can come across as aggressive because I'm not always the best with how I bring it to people.
Well, if you're aggressive, you should just own it and like slap them with a piece of chicken and be like, this is how this argument ends.
Are
The
you
chicken
thinking,
slap.
are you thinking raw or cooked?
yeah. I think you mean
Both.
cooked chicken, right? Yeah, raw
No,
salmonella.
he means
Salmonella!
That's a whole
Ah!
different problem.
Well, if it goes,
It's real personal. Though.
yeah, that's when it's like, don't talk about me like that.
the
raw
first.
chicken.
The first offense can be cooked. The second offense is raw.
Yeah.
It's gotta like get worse somehow.
James has a whiteboard that he marks. He's like,
It's like,
you
oh,
get the
that was
cook.
the first time.
Strike two.
You're
Timmy!
Every
right.
shift, there's like a strike board.
James goes into work. It's just loaded with food safety inspectors. We heard there's a lot of chicken slapping.
The food.
Oh, no.
James comes out and slaps the food safety inspector.
What'd you say about my chicken?
Raw chicken for you.
Strike three immediately. Pow.
Yeah.
But
Wait, what's strike three? We only got 1 and 2.
Yeah,
We
just
have
go
cooked
straight
and
from
raw.
just from 1 to 3. There is no.
What's
strike
3? If one's cooked, two's
maybe,
raw.
maybe
What's
it's
3?
more about, so at Chick-fil-A, I know you could start off with nuggets, move to strips, and
Oh,
then
sure.
full chicken breast. So maybe
Oh.
that's the escalation.
Progression.
No,
Yeah.
strike 3 would be spicy because they might hit
Oh,
you
in the
hit
eye.
in the eye.
No.
Dude, that's
wouldn't
just
it?
mean.
Yeah.
That's borderline assault.
I believe when you strike someone, that's actually assault. There's no
That's
borderline.
usually the definition of it. Yep.
I love how people come up with these caveats for things that are definitive. Like I had somebody hit a car in the parking lot at church, and somebody came to me and said, "Hey,
Oh,
this person
no.
hit my car." And so I walked up to the lady and I said, did you hit their car? And she goes, oh, well, we kind of did. It's like, no.
Well, wait.
You either did it or you did not do it. Which
how
one?
hit was the car?
It was scraped. Like it was hit. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, he's trying to make more caveats.
Exactly.
Yeah, but no, I was
no
like,
caveats. You either did or did not
Well,
do
so
this.
there's like a ding, like a little something, like you're like not even really crazy noticeable, and then there's like pulling off the whole side of the car.
Right.
Right.
So yes, those are results of hitting the car.
Yes.
But what happened
You
is
still hit
the
the
car
car.
was hit. Yeah. So
Right. It's all
the question
relative,
was
John.
not how bad was the damage. The
Father
question
John,
was,
it's
did you do
relative.
it or not do it?
Well,
So,
kind of. Yeah.
Well, I kind of hit Dylan
Yeah.
when we first met.
Their whole origin story is just
We've
Gabe
been over
walked
it.
up, punched him
We
right in
have.
the stomach.
A lot of pummeling.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you bring up a good point too, James. It's like lots of times when people get into these conflicts, they go to somebody they feel comfortable talking to rather than the person that they should be talking to. So if you are that person, always encourage them to go and talk to the actual person they're having a conflict with versus trying to solve it with some person that's outside of the conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's also getting advice on how to handle that
That's true.
outside conversation. So you go to the person that you know. Like if like, I don't know, if Dylan and I were beefing and I was ready to hit him with raw chicken, I'd be like, Mom, how should I handle this with Dylan? Because I don't want to hit him with raw chicken.
And she would say, what
Good
level
idea.
are we talking about here? Is it
What strike
spicy
is
or
it?
is
Yeah.
it not spicy?
Which strike is it? Depends.
Yeah. Well, then we get into that detail and then we go from there.
Right. At this point in your friendship, is every conflict immediately go to spicy or is there's still levels?
There's still levels
Oh,
with
yeah.
Dylan and I. Because Dylan and I do not have very many conflicts. Dylan and I are
We're
like,
pretty easy going.
Dylan's the chill one and I'm the
Fiery.
crackhead of the
Spicy.
relationship. Yeah.
Spicy.
Because every relationship obviously has the crackhead. So,
So-
Dude, I'm the crackhead of anybody's like friendship.
Yeah. I love, so there's it's funny you bring this up because I have a story about this. So
Yes. This is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
That's what
I
we
have,
came here for.
I have a couple crackhead stories if you want. But
Okay,
one
let's
that-
hear them.
one that made me stop using the term crackhead was
No.
there was this girl that worked for me when I was a general manager at Panera Bread, and she was a little bit. I thought she was high strung, and her friend constantly referred to her as a crackhead. Like, she's such a crackhead, and I would be like, yeah, what a crackhead, thinking that we're talking about a person that just didn't have a lot of emotional
Oh, was
stability.
she actually a crackhead?
Then one day she didn't show up to work because she checked herself into rehab because she was addicted to crack. So it was like, in that moment, I felt really bad for all the
God.
times that I, to her face, called her a crackhead, not knowing that wasn't a euphemism,
maybe
but it was
you
a.
calling
Yeah.
her that though led her to rehab and she got better for it. So
So that's why
She's like,
I
"Man,
don't
it's
do
gonna
that
happen."
anymore. Because who knows? Like maybe the person is a legitimate crackhead, and I'd feel really bad, like in that case, when I find out later.
That is
maybe you helped
really,
them.
Yeah.
That is really funny.
So in response to that, you're saying we should just call everyone a crackhead and
Yeah.
catch all the crackheads.
Like, I think you need some help.
Yeah.
You're a crackhead. And they'd be like, oh man, I just
Yeah.
got to rehab. You're right.
The other is my brother Jason. He is a collector of strange people. Like for whatever reason,
He collects people.
yeah, wherever there's a strange or weird
Uh.
person, Jason somehow gets to know them and they start to hang around him. So
Oh, that
a
kind of
long
collection.
time ago, he worked at this coffee shop and it was in a downtown area. And he goes, hey, I'd like you to meet this guy, Tater.
Tater?
Tater.
Tot.
Yeah.
Was his middle name Tot?
No, it's just named Tater. He was a homeless guy that just started hanging around Jason because that's the kind of person Jason attracts. But he was a crackhead and he wanted to have a conversation with me. And I remember our conversation quite vividly because he started to talk to me because Jason loves to do this where he goes, hey, this is my brother John. Hey, this is Tater. And then he leaves. And now I'm with this person. I don't know anything about them.
Yeah. It's
I can
Barney.
tell that
Yeah.
he's clearly homeless. So that's all I can see. And I'm just like, hey, what's going on, Tater? And he goes, oh man, it's just a nice day. And I'm like, yeah, it's really beautiful. Nice sunshine. He goes, yeah. Sometimes those beautiful days, man, the sunshine hits you and you feel like you could just fly up in a sunbeam and you could just start singing with the heavenlies. And he starts getting really intense. And I'm just like, what is happening? And then he looks at me and it was like he had this moment of clarity where he realized like, oh, I'm talking to a real person here and not my imaginary friends. And then he just stops and he goes, not that you could do that though. You can't really do that. And I'm just like, no, you can't. And that was my conversation with Tater the
Yep.
crackhead. So
You're
it's
right,
just like,
Sayer.
yeah, a little bit unnerving, but
Fly up in a sunbeam with the heavenlies.
Yes.
start singing with the heavenlies. I was like, okay, yeah, you could do that.
That's always a possibility.
Yeah.
I could also see James saying it though.
I could
That's
too.
pretty real.
I could. What James
To
does,
clarify, I'm not on crack.
where James does walk up to random people and talk to them. What was it? So going to the disagreements thing.
Yeah.
James and I had one about soda and pop because
Okay.
I'm Michigan born and raised,
Right.
like pop, and so we call it pop.
Right.
Yeah.
And James calls it soda.
Right.
We were talking. James
'Cause
was
that's
giving me
what it's
crap
Because
about.
we're New Yorkers. So
Yep, he was giving me crap about me calling it pop, and I was giving him crap for calling it soda. And we were going to do our grocery shopping, so we go over to BJ's, and James is like, I'm going to ask people whether it's soda or pop. And so we're walking down an aisle, and he walks up to this family. They didn't really speak English, and he's like, "Is it soda
They spoken
or
up.
pop?"
They've spoken up.
Yeah, and the guy looked, and I don't know. I think he gave you the soda one because he wasn't from here. And then he walked up to another couple, and she's like, "I'm from Michigan. It's pop." And I'm like, "See, James," I'm like, "It's pop because they're from Michigan. That's what we call it."
Yeah, I mean, you can call it whatever you want. It doesn't make you right. Like, I could call a rose a Herfenerter, and that wouldn't make it right. That's what I call it, but
Yeah, but soda pop has an origin story.
yeah,
A Herfenerter.
it's called soda, and people just started calling it pop because of
Yeah.
the noise it made. Because they used to be
Exactly.
called,
well, I believe it was originally referred to as soda pop, right? It was all
Yeah.
one thing.
Probably, yeah.
It was all because it made the pop with the glass ball.
Yeah.
And so thus it got its people either called it soda or pop.
Yeah.
Now the people who are really wrong are the people who call everything Coke.
Yeah.
Like,
Those are
Yeah.
Southerners.
Also, yeah, Southerners, I believe is what they're.
Well,
That's
like-
like that's like the equivalent
well,
of
different-
Ohioans.
well, different. There's like different parts of the South where they call it that. So it's like
Yeah.
Arkansas, they call it Coke. Like because I know people from Florida, they don't call it Coke. They just call it soda.
Yeah, I have a lot of family that lives in Alabama, and one of my first experiences was we went to some restaurant, and the lady goes, "What would you like to drink?" And I said Coke, and she goes, "What kind?" And I was like, "Regular Coke." Like I didn't know what to
Like
how
I
to
said-
respond to
Said
that.
Coke, yeah.
Yeah, but
That makes it so confusing.
Yeah.
Like the drink kind.
yeah,
The
Well,
drink
she was-
kind, the crackhead
The
kind.
liquid one.
I want regular Coke.
But like, I can't. That's so funny because if you're like, I would like a Coke. What kind? Sprite.
And that
Yeah.
was an acceptable answer
Right.
to her, but
Yeah.
like I didn't understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that just makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes no sense whatsoever. Those people, they're crackheads.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, we all adopt those things. Like, there was a time where if you had what you call a copier,
Yeah.
there was a time when it was called a Xerox machine
Oh,
because
yep.
Xerox manufactured
Right, right.
the
Well, it's
first
like-
copiers. So
it's
people
like
get attracted to a
Kleenex
brand
and
name.
tissue.
Yeah.
Or
Exactly.
Band-Aids.
Yep.
Because
Mhm.
Band-Aid's a brand.
That's true.
they've cornered
They
the
do.
market,
They have.
honestly, because
They have corn in the market
Band-Aid brand bandages.
because they're stuck on you.
Yeah.
So John, do you have any crazy stories that you want to share? Some more stories?
About crackheads. I
Well,
don't have any
about
more.
life.
Well, I don't know if
crackhead
you need
stories.
crackhead stories, but I feel like I've heard some tidbits from James. Just
Okay.
some funny stories that you have. And
Oh, boy.
I know
I've lived a life.
You have.
Yeah.
And I know that. So because you have like, you did the fried rice video.
Yep.
You've met with crackheads.
Yeah.
You probably got some other crazy stories from your youth that are worth sharing.
You want to hear about the time I got hit by a car? Like, you want to? That's
yeah, I love that one.
I thought that was James' story.
No, he also got hit by a car.
Mine was much worse.
My
Is this
story was
family
so
thing?
inspiring. He decided that he wanted to try it.
I got to
I
one
want to
up my
follow I
dad.
gotta follow my father's footsteps.
It's a
Have
rite
you
of
told that
passage.
story? How you got hit by a car? Or is that
Not
saving
on
that for a
podcast.
future podcast?
Honestly, I didn't even make mention of it yet. So
No.
Yeah.
So,
That can be in the ADHD episode.
Yes.
which I don't have.
when I lived in
Right,
I lived
first.
in California, and I was a valet for a casino called Pachanga Gaming Casino. I think it's still I think it's actually a bigger thing now than it was then.
Pachanga?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it was an Indian gaming casino. I was a valet.
Oh.
It was an easy way to make money while I was in school. So what we would do is we'd get the cars and we'd park them in this far back lot, and then we would run back to the front to take the next cars.
Right.
And one time during this, a car was like, me and my friend were racing down the aisleways to get back to the booth. And a car came zooming along, and I heard my friend scream, "John, watch out." And I saw this car, and in my, must have been 20-year-old brain. I'm thinking, I'm going to jump this car. Like, this is my,
Like
I
a
can't-
Spider-Man
yeah.
moment.
I can't avoid the car. So I'm going to jump the car. So I jumped the car, and in my mind, it was going great. Like, at this point, I'm like, dude, I'm going to clear this car.
Yeah.
The problem was the car is a little taller than I thought. And so my foot clipped the top of the windshield and the roof, spun me around. I landed directly on my head and the pavement. And so everybody's scrambling to get to me, and they think like I'm dead, right? But I was perfectly fine. So they made me go
Did you
to
get a
the
concussion?
Yeah, I did not.
What?
This is story
What?
number 2 that we've heard
Yeah.
where nobody gets a concussion. My uncle
Yeah.
ran himself over with a jet ski, and he talked about it the last episode.
Yeah.
Somehow, or the episode.
Two
This is
episodes ago.
confusing,
Yeah.
but he ran himself over with a jet ski. Somehow didn't get a concussion.
Yeah. Well, you know what? So this is the 90s. So we are probably
Yeah,
just not
same time
diagnosed
period.
with a
Yeah,
same
concussion.
thing.
I may very well have had a concussion and
The
didn't.
90s.
Yeah.
When did they learn about closed head
Yeah,
injuries?
it was a while. Like, they were still like playing football without helmets back then, I think. So it's like, that's a joke, by the way. Gabe's like, really? I'm going to Google this. Like,
What?
yeah. So they took me to the hospital where I waited on a gurney for 3 hours for a doctor to see me. I was just laying in this hospital waiting hall. Like, they literally, it was like the place where they go to put the beds when they're done with them. That's like what this hallway looked like.
So they forgot about you.
Yeah. Left me alone. So I have a neck brace on because they're nervous that I hurt myself, but not nervous enough to actually send a doctor to look at me. And so I get bored and I decide I'm going to go, and I saw a snack machine on the way in, and I'm like, I'm going to go get snacks at the snack machine. So I walk out in the hallway and everybody sees me like, what are you doing up? And I'm like, I'm just really hungry. I'm going to go to the snack machine. I go and buy Pop-Tarts. This apparently, me getting up freaked them out enough that they actually sent a doctor to look at me. He said, you're fine. And so
Did you
And you said,
Pop-Tarts?
yeah, I know.
yeah. So I'm just sitting here eating Pop-Tarts in this place, waiting on this doctor to see me. It was like the most surreal experience.
So they
like,
100% forgot about you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you had to get up to remind them that you
Yeah.
existed.
I don't know if their look of confusion was the fact that somebody came out of that room that they thought nobody was in, or if they,
All of the above.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
they were
probably
like,
Guy with neck brace gets up out of a room that
Yeah.
we forgot about.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no.
so the guy that hit me tried to get away, but he drove off into the parking lot where there was no exit. And the security team went and chased him down. They told me this later, and we caught the guy. And the reason that they caught him was because when I thought I had cleared this car,
Yeah.
well, apparently what I did was I stuck my foot onto the rim of the car above the tire, and they caught him because there was a giant shoe print in the side of his car where I had stuck my foot
What
in
kind
order
of car
to try and
was
jump.
it?
I don't remember that. What details do you expect me to remember after a potential head injury?
I don't know.
It was some kind of sedan. I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah.
G-Wagon.
So you were like at a T with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was looking at my friend, and when he said, watch out, I turned and like the car was there.
So
And it was
wait,
either going to run into it or I was going to jump it.
Did
Yeah.
they figure out why he was coming at you at the speed he was?
Yeah, he was just being careless. So yeah, he wasn't watching where he was going.
Well, he didn't get a valet, so
No,
he had
that's
to
true.
park quick.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Crazy people.
So that's the time I got hit by a car.
That's good.
Yeah.
Should we let James share his car story now?
yeah, James, you want to share
Mine's
Mine's a
yours?
lot less interesting.
No, yours has some more weight to it, but
James,
Well-
pull your mic a little closer.
Is that better?
Yeah, great.
That's so
what was the noise?
I was just trying to make sure that I could hear it. You know,
It's
it's,
great,
all
it's great,
it's good.
Go
So,
ahead.
Give us like why you were doing what you were doing.
okay. So basically, I was getting ready to go to college, and I wanted to kind of stay active. I really wasn't in the gym, which I really should have been because I was going to play football. So I was
That
trying to
was
stay
probably-
active. I was on my, so I said I was going to start riding my bike around to all the different like libraries around this area. And I kind of started getting pretty far out. I was going to like Canton Library, or maybe it was Plymouth. I think it might have been Plymouth actually. I kept saying Canton, but I think it might have been Plymouth. And so this is like an hour bike ride from my house, or maybe 40 minutes hour, depends on how fast I ride. But I got there, I was like, nah, I don't really feel like getting anything here. And I started riding back, and on my way back, it started like pouring rain. The visibility was terrible. Now this is where the mistakes started to come in, like immediately right there, because I go, man, it's pouring rain. Rain's kind of getting in my eyes. It's almost like vertical right now. Horizontal right now.
Yeah,
like
it's
getting in
going
my
straight at
eyes.
you. Right.
And so I'm like, let me put my sunglasses on, like windshield wiper. I'll just wipe them off every so often, like, just so the rain doesn't get in my eye. Because I don't have like goggles or anything with me.
I think that's the worst thing you could have done.
Well, yeah, it definitely was because I got hit by a car. So, but no, so I'm riding my bike. I'm going through this crosswalk, and this is where it starts to get funny because I don't actually remember anything after putting the sunglasses on. But according to the witnesses, I was going through the crosswalk, but on a red, so there was a stop sign up, and I went through anyway. There was a semi truck in one lane, like the left hand turn lane, and the other lane you couldn't see into the crosswalk because of the semi truck there, and their light was green, so someone was just going like a Ford Transit was just going full speed through, and they just hit me. So,
yeah, there's some interesting stories in the hospital that I can.
Would you like to share those,
James? Do you remember flipping over or anything, or
as soon as the last thing I remember was the 5 minutes before when I put the glasses on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. And then you were just blind, so you forgot all of it because it was so dark.
Yeah, because I was
probably it was just all black.
It went dark for 2 reasons.
It was just black from then on.
Yeah, super scary when I got that phone call. But then, as James was recovering, there was some in hindsight humorous moments that took place afterwards.
I bet.
So when you have a traumatic brain injury like that, you're not always thinking clearly. So there was a moment where
when is James thinking clearly?
But these are exceptionally Jamesy moments. His uncle came to see him, and he walked in, and James was a little bit awake, and he was like, "Hey, James, how's it going?" And he goes, "Good." And he goes, "Do you know who I am?" And he's like, "Uncle Josh." And he goes, "That's right." He goes, "You know where you're at?" He's like, "Spaceship." I was like, okay, not quite there yet. He hasn't fully recovered.
Spaceship.
Then we didn't understand at the time. He kept saying, show me a doctor, over and over again. And we were confused, why he was asking this. So when he finally came out of it and he could think clearly, at some point during his recovery, he was under the impression that he was being held captive and that this was all fake. And that there was no real doctor here, that this was all a charade. And it's because he was watching this old television show called Chuck. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it.
I love Chuck.
Yeah. So it's a show about spies and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So James thought he was being held captive in the hospital. So he was doing weird stuff. He was trying to pass his mom a note. He was like, hey, and he was trying to give her a note.
Mom, help.
Because
I'm being held captive.
Yeah. He tried to smack something out of somebody's hand to create a distraction to get away. It was very loopy at this
actually.
point.
So mom filled me in on this story, and so basically said that the doctor was kind of helping me drink the water and stuff in one of those styrofoam cups. And so she goes, one day he comes up and he's like, give me the water. And I'm just like, oh, I can do it myself. And she said, she told her, she's like, oh, I don't know about that. And she's like, she could see in my eyes that I was thinking of something. And so then as soon as he's like, oh, okay. So she's handing me the cup. As I just grab it, squish the cup so it splashes all over him. Yeah.
Yeah. But there was a couple times I remember he was real vehement. He's like, show me a doctor. Bring a doctor in here. It was like, okay.
Did we bring a doctor to him?
Yeah. We didn't know what was going on. But.
And then he probably thought the doctor was fake or something.
Yeah.
You're not real. Yeah, you're an actor, I bet.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I can see your license.
That's good.
Show me a doctor.
It kind of made more, because there was some nights where I was spending the night there with him, and he would just start going, Morgan. And it's like, I was texting Leslie. I'm like, do we know somebody named Morgan? He keeps yelling out Morgan, and it's because there's a character in that show, Chuck, named Morgan, and he thought that he was trying to save this person or whatever. So, yeah.
That is awesome and hilarious.
Good. Yeah.
So wait, do you think you wouldn't remember, but I wonder if you thought he was Chuck.
In this scenario, I guess I must have been. So.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Oh man.
Was he watching it in the hospital, or was he just watching it?
I think he and his sister were
we were going through it. I was showing my sister it for the first time, so we were watching through the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude. Wow. We should be glad he was watching that show and not something else.
Exactly.
Could you imagine if he was watching
I'm watching Lost.
or Pokemon? Yeah. And he just starts trying to throw things at the doctor. He's like, I gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch the doctor.
It was yeah. I've had some real interesting experiences. This one time I was in the hospital. This is the first time I got my tonsils removed. This is like the first surgery I'd really had. And I don't like needles. I'll clarify that. I am not just don't like needles. Like I've passed out from needles before. And this was the first time I passed out because of a needle. So I'm laying there on the bed. They give me an IV in my arm. And I'm just like, I'm panicking. I'm like picking at it. Like, oh no, like the needle in my arm. Like, oh, what am I going to do here? Like all this kind of stuff. Like I'm freaking out. All right. Like I'm panicking right now. And the next thing I know, like it's like all of a sudden I start rising towards the ceiling, and there was SpongeBob playing on the TV. So like I hear the noise of SpongeBob as I'm passing out, and as I pass out, like I just remember very vividly and distinctly, like there's just like this vortex, and it's like I see SpongeBob coming in, I hear his laugh, I see Squidward,
But you're coming
all
to
this
or
kind of
getting
stuff,
knocked out.
and it was so strange. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, next thing I know, I'm opening my eyes, and I'm like, what happened? Like oh, you passed out. I'm like, oh, okay.
You just passed out. They weren't like putting you to sleep.
No,
Okay.
I passed out because of the IV in my arm.
Oh.
Interesting.
James should not be around needles.
No,
Yeah.
I shouldn't. That's why I will not get a tattoo. One of the reasons I will not get a tattoo.
I'm also not a big fan of needles, but I've learned that if I don't watch them put it in my arm, I'm good.
Yeah.
I watch them.
Yeah.
Like
you don't trust them.
No,
He's like, where are you putting it?
I'm just more intrigued of like watching them put it in. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, I can't do that.
yeah. I got told by a nurse once that like you would make a good nurse just because you can stand watching needles go in your arm.
Yeah.
I told
That's
that's the
that's what
qualifications
you
for being
should
a
get
good
from
nurse.
that.
But
You'd make a good nurse because you can watch needles go into people. That's
yeah, that's their qualifications.
Is that
I guess.
is that something they do as they're bringing you into the nursing program? They're just like, hey, we just want you to watch this real
Here's a
quick
2-hour
first.
video of needles.
Just getting
Let's see if
shoved
you
in.
can handle this.
Yeah, 2-hour
Yeah.
video of just needles like randomly.
The part of the U of M entrance they don't talk about. So it's like,
Yeah.
did you guys have to watch the needle video? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't make it through. I watched out of the nursing program. Couldn't do the needles.
Could you imagine if that was like the one qualification and you don't pass? And it's like,
Right.
you can't be a nurse now. But I know everything else. I know how to do everything else. But you didn't make it through the needle video.
Right. Interesting.
That would be a shame.
Mm-hmm.
John, do you have any more fun stories to?
I mean, I've got lots of fun stories. It's hard to categorize them. I'm not sure. Like,
You just
Yeah.
give us what you think are like
Whatever comes to mind first.
the classics.
I don't know. Like, yeah.
Tell something from your youth.
From your youth.
From your youth. My youth. Nothing
Or
ever
a good
happened in
James
my
story.
youth.
You can get a James story.
Okay. Here's a funny story you guys may or may not like, but I'm just going to tell it anyway. So
The best kind of story.
we lived in Hawaii. When you live in and I say it that way because I live there. Sorry. So some people always
Wait,
go, "Why do you say
that's
it
how
that way?"
they say it there?
Hawaii? Yeah.
They don't say Hawaii.
No. So in Hawaii,
Wait a minute.
they have these things called walking trees. Walking trees are trees that grow. The roots kind of grow out of the ground.
Like Treebeard. Those kind of walking trees.
I'm not sure what that is. So
Lord of the Rings, Treebeard.
oh no, not
Oh.
like that. Yeah.
They're not ints.
No, they don't talk
Oh.
and they don't move, but they
What a
have
shame.
roots that grow out of the ground. So
I would get my money back.
basically it's like branches going into the ground. So there's like all these
Oh.
spaces at the bottom of the tree. So my brother and I were climbing one of these trees when he slipped and got his foot stuck in the roots. And so I thought in my 12-year-old brain I would free him by using my pocket knife that has a saw blade on it.
We're going to amputate him?
No, I was going to cut the tree
Oh.
branch. Unfortunately,
Free him. Let me cut his leg off.
the end result was I did in fact stab him in the ankle. As I went to cut the tree branch, I inadvertently stabbed him right in the leg, which he didn't initially feel. I just saw the blade go into him and I was just like, and I dropped the saw blade and ran away and I started screaming, "I just killed my brother." So he was like looking and then he realized he'd been stabbed and then he starts screaming. So
How do you not
my
feel
neighbor,
that?
yeah, our neighbor comes out and he's like this 80-year-old guy and he's got these two kids screaming. This one kid's bleeding. He's stuck in a tree. So he gets this idea that he's going to like move the branch by putting a 2x4 in and kind of like leveraging it to like push
Yeah.
the branch out of the way, except for like, this guy's literally on death's door as he's trying to do this. Like he's got, I just remember thinking like my brother's stabbed and bleeding, and I'm more worried about the guy that's trying to save him than the guy who needs to be saved. Like I'm like, this guy's not gonna make it. Like,
how bad did you stab your brother?
it wasn't that bad. Like it was, I definitely, he was stabbed, but it wasn't like I didn't hit any arteries or cut any like,
But was it like a big hole or a small
flesh
hole?
wound?
It was a
flesh wound.
it was a significant hole. Yeah. So I was banned from using the pocket knife, although I still have the pocket knife at our house.
Did your brother get freed, or is he still there?
He's still there. No, I know he was freed. He
lives with the tree now.
Yeah. I don't know about the old guy. I'm assuming
I think
he didn't die then, but I'm guessing shortly afterward he might have passed on. But
I strained myself trying to save a youth from a tree.
Kids.
Yeah. When you see somebody doing something that's clearly taking much more effort for them to do than anyone else in the world would need. Yeah, he was just, it was like he's trying to lift a car and all he was doing was moving this 2x4. So yeah, it was, that was my fault. That was my bad. I think his name was Harold. So my bad, Harold. Sorry.
Well, to Harold's family, this goes out to you.
Yeah. I wonder the reach of your podcast too. They would be like, that's our grandpa. In which case, thank you so much. I don't mean to throw shade on your grandpa, but this was a task that he clearly shouldn't have been performing at that moment in his life.
He's the man, the myth, the legend, Harold.
Yeah. Maybe he's still out there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
The spirit of Harold.
That'd be the most shocking thing of all.
Yeah.
Harold's still alive.
Yeah.
He's still there.
Unfortunately, Harold was also not a particularly sound person as far as medicine goes, because his idea of how to fix that after my brother Jason got his leg out of the tree root and was bleeding, he thought we should just put aloe on it, which is a very common Hawaiian thing because the aloe plants grow there. So they like break it off and put it. He thought, let's just put some aloe. I'm like, I think stitches is probably better, or an actual doctor, but thanks, Harold.
Or we just take the whole leg off.
Yeah. That was maybe plan B
Take
for Harold.
Probably, yeah.
If aloe doesn't
the
work.
aloe's not working.
Yeah.
John, give me the knife.
The 2 A's of stab wounds to Harold: aloe, amputation. That's what one of those two is going to work. Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
That's all you needed these days. You don't need modern medicine. If there's a problem, aloe or amputation.
Yeah.
You get
One
to
of those
pick.
two
For
is
them,
gonna
it works
fix
for us.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you just like roll a die. If roll
aloe can't fix it, then you can live without it. That's how.
Exactly. Exactly.
Sure.
I feel like
We're now a medical podcast. We have Dr. John on today, and he is giving us sound medical advice.
We feel like we should put a preemptive thing on here by saying that we're not actual doctors, nor do we.
We are not qualified in any area of anything.
If you're anaphylactic, rub some aloe on it, or just amputate your throat.
Gabe, next time you get some eggs, in your mouth, just be like, I need some aloe, guys.
Just give me the aloe.
I mean,
or just cut out my throat.
Technically, you can eat aloe, so
what?
You can eat aloe, not like the aloe, but like the
James.
plant itself,
Technically,
so.
you can eat anything. That doesn't mean that you should do it.
No,
So,
I've heard aloe is actually good for you if you eat like actual.
What is the
pure
weirdest
aloe.
thing James has eaten?
Oh.
I mean, all the typical kid things,
Dirt.
grass and dirt and all that stuff.
Bugs.
Yeah,
Crayons.
Play-Doh?
yeah, any of that stuff.
We have I thought I'd put it out there. We have some very, just as a family, like just things happen when you have a big family. So
Well, how many are there in your family?
there's 9 kids, including myself. So there's 11 of us total. But this one time we went to a lake house.
Oh no. This is
Someone let us
not a good start.
go to their lake house, like to stay there for we were there for like a week maybe, or a couple days.
Yeah, because the amount of time we're there is probably the most important part.
Yeah,
of this
very
story.
important to the story. No, but basically they had kayaks, paddle boards and stuff.
Gotta love a good yak.
And we were doing, and we like, it was like a lake, but like on the other side there was like a public area. So what we did was had been kind of like going over there on the kayaks and the paddle boards, and we'd go over to the other side. We were kind of exploring. And we were like, let's have a race. Like, let's see who can do it the fastest. And so we get over there, we start going.
Kind of a race? Okay.
Yeah, we start paddling over there, all this kind of stuff. There's teams of 2. I get over to the other side. We are almost, I don't even remember who was winning the race, but I remember that I get in my canoe. I remember it was not canoe.
You are a canoe or a kayak.
Kayak. There you go, kayak. And I'm going back. I'm paddling back, and I pull up right on my brother Jacob, and he falls out of his thing because he overextended. He tipped his kayak over. And so I'm like, all right, calm down. So I'm going to help you, Jakey. So I lift his kayak up so it's upright. There's not a lot of water in it, so it's fine. And then so I help him. I hold it steady. He climbs back into his, and then he grabs my kayak and dunks it into the water. So it's just water pouring in it. And then I flip out of the kayak, and now there's too much water in it to actually use my kayak. And he just paddles away, leaves me in the middle, like not like close to shore anywhere. I'm in the middle of this lake now. And I'm like maybe a quarter mile away from wherever like the other side was.
I don't think the lake was a quarter mile long.
I was
This
a
is why we have
distance,
John here to correct these
I was
stories.
a distance away from wherever the land was, but I was towards the middle of this lake. And so I'm trying to swim back and not, lose the kayak. So I'm holding on to the kayak and I'm holding on to the oar. Yeah, my brain's not functioning correctly on this. Remember things.
It's because he was hit by a car.
Be quiet. It's not important.
Yeah, it's
That's
okay.
not related.
And he
It's only related when I wanted to. So I'm trying to hold on to both of these things. And I'm like trying to swim back to shore while holding this and holding the paddle and holding the kayak. And I'm like, I've made decent way towards like land. And then all of a sudden I just hear like a splashing noise. And then I hear, Jeremiah, what are you doing? And Jeremiah's my brother for clarification.
Not the dog.
And then I hear him yell, I'm trying to save my brother's life. And I see him.
Is that your Jeremiah impression?
Yeah, it was. I see him. I like look over and I see him like splashing, like just trying to swim, but he can't swim the best.
For everybody out there who thinks I'm a terrible parent, by the way, everybody was wearing life vests in this scenario, just so you know. So
Okay, that's good.
they were
That's
all
good
going to
to
be
know.
okay.
Wait, was Jeremiah in a life vest?
He was, yeah.
Okay.
He jumps in, he starts swimming, and I think one of Jakey or Josiah grabbed him and like did not let him swim. It might have been my mom actually. I don't know who it was, but I just know someone grabbed him and wouldn't let him try to swim out in the middle to try to get me. Eventually, I just swam back to where I could touch the ground, and then I pulled it onto shore and came back in. But
Yeah.
it was a pretty like I was so confused because I could hear it from however far he was a good distance away, and I hear him yell that from like across the whole thing. I'm like, oh, okay.
How long ago was this, James?
What was it, been a year
Like
ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
This will explain the aggression that he had towards us when I first met James. Because when I first met him, we went out on the Huron kayaking and canoeing.
Yes, I remember that.
And
That was
the whole
funny.
time I just met James that day. And he kept trying to like
Grab
throw
on
our
to-
kayak over and like dump it. And I was like, what is going on with this kid? And why is he so aggressively trying to
Dude.
flip Gabe and I over in our kayak?
Well, he was grabbing onto everybody's. He grabbed
Wow, I'll
onto
take a
some
free
people's
ride.
canoe.
So it sounds like it was leftover aggression from
do you
this
remember?
incident.
Do you remember on that? He grabbed onto us, but we steered
Yes.
in him
We threw him into the tree.
Yeah, we were going, and then we proceeded to grab his hand and pull it off, and then he shot right
You
into
pulled my
some
hand
trees.
off?
There was like a tree like hanging close to the water.
Well, we pushed your hand off our kayak, and so
Yeah.
then we slingshotted you into
A
a
tree
bunch of
hanging over the
trees.
water.
Yeah. And Dylan and I speed kayaked away as
Yes.
fast as we could.
So it feels like that
To be
day
fair,
was,
it was more Dylan.
it feels like that day was leftover aggression
Yes.
from this incident with his brother.
I feel like
It explains a lot.
I'm
That
pretty
does,
sure this
yeah.
was before that though. Or maybe it was after. I can't remember actually.
No, last summer we went into
Oh, did we? Oh,
Yeah, that
you're
was last
right.
summer.
You're right. No,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, that's when I joined.
because I was trying to get Dylan involved, and then
Yes.
I'm like, "Hey, let's go. We're going kayaking," and then nobody showed up.
What are you talking about? I was literally there.
Yeah, but okay, you were there, and then some 4 girls showed up,
Yes.
and I was like
And
expecting.
Drew was there.
Well, yeah,
So
Drew.
you're, so you're already at 7 people. That's a lot for
Okay,
nobody being.
okay. Let me clarify.
Most of the
most
usual
of the
group
normal
didn't show up.
usual
Gotcha,
folk were
gotcha.
not there.
A
Like,
few people were there, and then some friends that weren't.
like
in the
they're
group
not
probably.
like they were kind of just newcomers to the group.
Yeah.
They weren't
Yes.
like the established.
So why
like-
don't you just tell the truth, Gabe, and say nobody I liked was there? That's
I like James. He's
Okay.
on the podcast.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
We live together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hear him
And then,
behind the
anyways,
scenes.
a few weeks later, I was in the group chat, and James forgot who I was.
Yes, and
And
he
I was
kept
like,
calling
James,
you.
come on! I literally threw
He
you into a
kept
tree and
misspelling
you
your
forgot
name.
about
He kept spelling you Dillion.
it. That's normal.
And
And then I was like, James, I threw you into a tree, and you forgot already.
Well, because we threw him into a tree. He lost
Yeah.
his memory.
Well, I also didn't know about the truck accident at that point.
Yes.
And then I learned about that. And I was like, oh wow, this makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it explains a lot, even though
The best part
allegedly
is
he's the same.
not
Yeah,
much
sure.
changed. So
Well, I mean, in all honesty, like it's pretty astounding that he came through that with as little damage as he has. Like he
Yes.
has got a scar on his arm, and he's relatively. I mean, it might be debatable amongst you guys how mentally lucid he is, but
Stable-ish.
Yeah.
We have one of our we could say upcoming topics is does James have ADHD? It's
Yeah.
one of our
Yes.
upcoming topics.
yeah. Well, as long as you're diagnosing people without any care for actual medical evidence, I mean,
Oh
you can,
no,
yeah.
no.
Well, we'll use Mayo Clinic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
And some aloe.
listen, none of us are doctors, so we
Yeah.
can't. We'll save this. We'll save this topic. We'll save this topic because we can do a whole topic on this. Because I
Oh,
have
yeah.
a whole
It'll be
defense
another
of
episode.
myself on this. Like
Right.
there's a whole defense. All right.
Allegedly. Everything's allegedly here.
ADHD or lack of discipline, you decide.
We'll make a poll on Instagram.
Yes, that'll be it.
Did John discipline his child?
Yeah.
Or does he have ADHD?
Oh yeah, I definitely there was some discipline, sure.
I got my mouth washed out with soap at least twice as a kid.
Did
So-
I do that? I didn't.
No,
do
I think that was mom.
Yeah, that seems like more of a mom thing.
When I was a kid, I used to get hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah. My mom put hot sauce and then gave me a Ritz cracker.
And then you're like,
afterwards.
actually, mom, I like that. Thank you.
Well, dude,
Yum.
Tabasco was not
Okay.
fun as a kid.
But now you like hot sauce a lot.
I
so.
do.
Yeah.
There was one time where I washed my own mouth out with soap
Why?
Excellent.
because I thought it was coming. So I'm like, I'm just gonna take care of it. And tell her.
Preemptive.
I like talked back and I'm like,
Yeah.
and she sent me to my room and I was in my room for maybe like 30 minutes waiting for her to like come
Yeah.
in. And there was like we had a bathroom right outside my room. So I just walked from there to the bathroom and I'm like, I'm just gonna take care of this myself and then tell her.
Right.
Like, Mom, I washed my own mouth out with soap. You don't have to do anything. And she's like, I wasn't even gonna do that. And I'm like, well, shucks. The deed's already done. I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
They'll give you like a free pass, then to say something else.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, come on, mom. Something really mean to her. And she's like, wash your mouth. I'm like, I just did.
Yeah.
It's already
And then you're
done.
done. Sorry.
I like that she took your word for it. Like,
Well, because I'm pretty sure, like, I think I did
because
say
I feel like that's exactly what a kid who didn't want to get their mouth washed out with soap would say.
Yeah, but I'm
Don't
like,
worry, I already took care.
Well, I don't know if I can't remember if I said something like that soap does not taste good
Oh,
or something like that. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I thought you were going to do it. So I did it.
gotcha.
My favorite was when I was a kid and like I know I was gonna get a spanking, and so I would start putting on more layers of clothing.
My dad did that.
to try to protect. You know, like,
So my
Oh,
dad
smart.
has a story of he got sent to his room at night. It was like later at night. So he was waiting for his dad to come up because it's my stepdad. So I didn't really call him grandpa or anything. So his dad. So
Right.
his dad to come up and he put on 3 pairs of underwear and he was waiting and waiting. And then he fell asleep. And then he got up for the next day and he wore the 3 pairs of underwear to school. To like, because he was like, and he came home and his dad never came up to the room at all. He just like let him like suffer wearing 3 pairs of underwear the whole day because like that's what I would do as a parent. I'd just let my kid like kind of not be scared, but like have that like I don't want to get in trouble, like get a spanking or get soap to the mouth.
Yeah.
But like just to the comedic, like you're gonna wear 3 pairs of underwear to school because of your own doing, because you knew you did something wrong and you're trying to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And then
That's
you
good.
just have to suffer wearing 3 pairs of underwear the whole day.
do you not agree with that? I see the eyes squint. and I'm like,
I wonder if the dad even knew that happened.
Well, probably not. He probably
Roast.
did not know,
Yeah.
but until after.
Yeah.
Because
But I like that
That's a good one.
there's an equivalency in your mind between wearing 3 pairs of underwears and getting a spank.
Suffering.
well, you gotta. Well, the thing is like, you are so scared in your own mind because you don't want to get in trouble that you're gonna do
Right.
something that is not gonna be fun the whole day. Wearing 3
Right.
pairs of underwear is not a fun thing.
Yeah.
Dylan, how much time are we?
I like wearing 3 pairs of underwear is not a fun thing. Yeah.
What?
55.
Oh. Wearing 3 pairs of underwear is not a fun thing.
I wouldn't know because I've not done it.
I've
but-
never done it, but wearing more
But
than
you're talking about it
doesn't
with
sound
real
fun.
authority.
But
So I'm
wearing
wondering.
sound fun.
well, no, wearing more than one pair of something that you're supposed to wear is not like wearing multiple t-shirts.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever
They
put
call
on,
that layering, by the way. So just like.
well, I
You got a problem,
layer.
Gabe? You got a problem right now?
No, I layer, but imagine wearing like 3 t-shirts. Like if I'm wearing 3 of these
Right.
at once,
Sure.
it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable.
Well, if I just do small, big,
Well,
bigger, like
None of us can be like you, James, and wear almost nothing.
I've
Where
been known to just take my shirt off at places when I get hot.
Yeah.
I've done it since I was a child.
it's not because you're hot. It's because you are hot.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
This week in unnecessary clarification.
I unnecessarily clarify things.
I we know.
No.
Gabe, we know.
So anyway, conflict resolution.
So,
Yeah.
back to the topic.
Back to the beginning.
Conflict resolution. Pick a side.
Have conversations with people, even when it's not comfortable. That's going to lead to conflict resolution. Otherwise, you're going to end up wearing 3 pair of underwear, and that's not what anyone wants. right?
Exactly.
Good
Okay.
Or
times,
washing
yeah.
your own mouth out with soap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now pick a side.
I never got in trouble as a kid, honestly. Like I didn't even do it.
I don't believe that one.
Fact check that?
So here's the problem was, it wasn't that I always got in trouble as a kid. Well, no.
Are you going to try to say that all your siblings blame things on you?
So wait,
and
before you go on,
Wait, listen.
pre-fact check that.
No, hold on.
Yeah, you got in
Let
trouble.
me finish
Okay.
my statement. Let me finish my statement. I got in trouble a lot as a kid, but it wasn't
Wait,
that.
this is the exact opposite of what
Yeah, I
you
was
just
saying
said.
it wrong. I was clarifying. I was
Unnecessary
clarifying.
There's a difference between clarifying and changing your story
All
completely.
right,
but okay,
listen. I got in trouble a lot as a kid, but it was more that my siblings didn't get caught for things. I would simply be the only one getting caught. They should have been in trouble way more than me. But
Dude,
the problem was I just wasn't as smooth with it as them. So
I have a feeling that they feel the same way.
they absolutely do not. Because they could simply just go,
No,
James, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, James, what'd you do? And I'd be in trouble.
but you don't think Jacob does that to Justin?
I don't. I think Justin probably does it to Jakey though.
Yeah, see,
there's a truth to this, and I'll tell you as a parent, it is hard. There are punishments of potential, right? In other words, it seems very likely that this person did this thing. And James is one of those people where it seems pretty likely that James did this thing. So there could be some punishments of potential in James's past. I'm sorry if that's the case.
It was
more
not
than you
quite
realize.
the innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
It did not exist for me. Did not feel like it.
so did Josiah, or did you blame things on Josiah then?
No. I don't think, not that I remember, not at least a lot that I remember.
Yeah, Josiah was the good one. So he.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, knowing Josiah, I can
Josiah
attest.
was not. All right, no. Here's the thing: Josiah did stuff all the time, but he just didn't get in trouble for it.
Well, it's because
He
he's
literally-
quiet.
Yeah, he just wouldn't say anything about it.
Yeah,
I would
first
say
of all.
I
Quiet
would
ones don't
immediately
get in
tell
trouble.
everyone that I did something. Josiah just never did.
Well, you're the guy. You're like the loudmouth.
Yeah.
Like, so you're gonna
Well-
go around saying I did something, and Josiah's just like, if he does something stupid, he's not gonna say it.
The thing is that
You
the
two are
reason
polar
I'm as loud
opposites.
and ridiculous as I am, partly personality, but more so was shaped because he was so quiet. So it's like he was quiet, so something had to fill the void, right? Like
You're
couldn't have
Josiah's
silence.
voice. You make up voices for the two of you.
I do. We get annoyed sometimes when we're in public, and I'll start having a conversation with someone. I'll be like, "Oh, hey, this is my brother Josiah," and then I'll start like talking for Josiah mid conversation, and he'll actually in his eyes he'll be like stop it right now. And I'm
It's
just
like I can talk for
and I'm
myself.
like, oh yeah, he can go and say something like, "Whoops, my bad."
So on that matter of siblings and Josiah, I don't know if you know this, John, but we have a group chat that Josiah's in
Okay.
and some friends. And every now and then, James will make a comment or like a story about his past or childhood. And we'll be like, hey, Josiah, can you fact check that? And 95% of the time, it's a no.
No, that's not
so
correct.
false.
That's not
Most of the time,
correct.
am
that's
with
so
Dylan on
false.
this.
I tell fishing stories. All right, that's just what I do. Okay.
And Josiah's like, no, that's not what
I
happened.
think you just heard just now when James said, I never got in trouble as a
Exactly.
kid.
Yeah.
Then
It was just like
immediately
that.
said, I got in trouble a lot
The
as a
wording
kid.
was wrong. I was trying to say it.
Exactly,
I
exactly.
thought what I was trying to say. That's why I had to fix it. I had to pause, collect myself, and say it correctly.
So the thing, have you guys ever seen The Office? I'm sure you guys have
Yes.
seen episodes of The
Yes.
Office. So there's an episode of The Office where the guy looks at the camera. What's the
Jim.
No, the main guy, the
Michael.
boss, Michael. He looks at the camera and he goes, sometimes I start off a sentence and I don't even know where it's going. And I'm just like, let's see where this leads. I think that's
Exactly.
James.
Yes.
In a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yes.
He just starts talking and then eventually the
Just
facts
keeps
catch up
talking.
with what he's saying. It may
Yes.
not
Yes.
start off that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can attest.
Yeah.
As
Oh, yeah.
roommates, that happens a lot.
All right. Well, it's the roast James time. All right. Supposed to be a nice, friendly podcast.
Nice friendly conflict is always.
Supposed to be a nice, friendly conflict.
So
all
you're
right.
making my case for me. That's
Yes.
good. Yeah. Nice friendly conflict.
We're supposed to have the inside conversations outside.
I think that's enough for the podcast. We can probably end it. Now. Really go on, honestly. So
On
there-
that note,
If you take anything from this podcast, just know that James never got in trouble as a child, except for he got in trouble often as a child. Just
Yes.
and that he takes his shirt off because he's hot, not because he's hot.
well, all right, listen. Let me explain. All right. Since I was a young child, all right, since I was a wee lad, I was like, I just get really, really warm really easily. Like I could go outside in like 30-degree weather and just start sweating in shorts and a t-shirt. Like I don't know what it is about me, but like I
You
just
should
I
get
start
that checked
sweating.
out.
yeah. So this is true because he would climb into bed with his mother and I, and we would refer to him as Inferno James because if he was in the bed, it was like there was like this lava rock in the middle of the bed. It's like it made everything super hot. So yes,
Maybe you should rub
this
some
is true.
aloe on
Yeah.
yourself.
Cool off.
James runs hot.
I take ice showers before I go to bed every night, or else I can't go to sleep because I'm too hot.
That makes sense.
Not every.
Well, not every night, but a lot.
Because
Of
there was
nights.
that one time.
Sometimes I'm just too tired. Like my body.
Well, there was
doesn't
that
matter
one
how hot it
time
is.
I came home from work at 5:00, and I'm like, "Hey, James, you were asleep." It started getting later and later and later, and then I went to bed, and he slept from 5 till whatever time you got up for work.
3 a.m.
Was it 3 a.m.?
Yeah, because I worked at 5:30.
Oh, still, that's an insane amount of time to sleep. Not insane, but
I think I had like 1 hour of sleep the night before.
James occasionally doesn't sleep.
See, I'm a big advocate for sleep. I just sometimes don't do it. So at least
So
not
he's
well.
a hypocrite, is what we.
So no, it's not even hypocritical. It's not that I don't want to sleep. It's more that like I just have a lot of things happening, and I'm like by the time I'm like, man, I need to go to bed. I'm like, and I'm gonna get like 2 hours of sleep. So
Like you start building shelves at midnight.
I didn't work till later that day, so it was fine.
Excuses. So on that note, since we're roasting James, and we can
It's a bad note. I thought you had to only end on a make. So let's do something. Let me roast someone else first.
feel free to roast Dylan.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't got anything. I don't know anything right now. All right. Like I don't have anything to roast me on. Like give me, like tell me what to say, guys. Help me, please.
He's caught on his heels. He's off guard.
I don't
He
know what to
is.
do.
His guard's down.
I'm
We
not
can't-
used to having someone here who's just gonna fact check me when I start saying things. Like
We'll start calling in Josiah from now on.
just
Yes.
like we're gonna call in a guest real quick. Hey Josiah. So
We like to phone a friend. Ah! Can we
Wow.
fact check him?
Pretty much.
I hit my mic. So we always end with a phrase.
I would assume that you always end. But
Yeah, we do end, but we have a phrase that we say.
Okay.
So, when you record video on your phone,
Mhm.
the right way is horizontal, not vertical.
Mhm.
So we like to tell people to always film horizontal. And so Dylan will give us a 3, 2, 1, and then we all say it. And then that's how we end the podcast.
And what is it that we say specifically?
We say, always remember to film horizontal.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Do you feel like there's a lack of clarity in that
Yes,
statement?
there
is.
is.
Is the person supposed to be horizontal or the camera?
The camera.
Okay. All right.
Always remember to film horizontal. That's what we say.
Okay.
Yes.
So Dylan, you
All
can
right.
count us down.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
always remember to film horizontal. Vertically.
And
James, every
come
time.
on. Why do you mess
You
it
try
up?
so hard.
We'll just end it here. And we are
Good enough.
clear.
All right. Clear.
Clear.